It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Iran planning some very serious things against President Trump. There's a big report today about what they are trying to do to assassinate President Trump. Really scary stuff. Intel agencies briefing President Trump and others about it. Iran trying to infiltrate America on so many levels. And joining us now is John Levine with the New York Post. And John, you wrote a really blockbuster column. We're so happy to have you here about this foundation. It's an Iranian foundation, and they have a building right in the heart of New York City, Fifth Avenue and East 52nd Street. Tell us all about it.
Right. So, it's very interesting. I received this report from George Washington University about Iranian influence, and I was reading it, and the centerpiece was this foundation called the Alavi Foundation. It was started by the Shah of Iran, and then after the Islamic Revolution, the Ayatollahs and the Islamic Republic took it over. And really, they own this 36-story building in the middle of Manhattan. They make, millions and millions of dollars a year in commercial rent. And they have used that over the years to fund basically pro-Iran activity throughout the United States, schools, mosques, children's centers. In many cases, they receive taxpayer money or taxpayer subsidies, or they work with local governments. In 2008, this foundation and this building was seized by the federal government on the grounds that it was in violation of U.S. sanctions on Iran because it is literally pushing Iranian propaganda on behalf of that country. But it's been in litigation. The original ruling was overturned. And as far as I was told, the building is still technically in their hands today. And there isn't a final resolution. And they've when you look at what's happening on college campuses, this foundation has also been over the years, if you can look at their tax forms, the 990s, they've pumped millions of dollars into college campuses over the years. And the level of infiltration is just shocking. No other word for it.
Wow. John, as you're talking about this, what about also the messaging, too, coming from them, too? And you brought up the college campuses. It really hasn't been looked into, I don't think, enough, who are behind some of these protests and what kind of foreign influence, clearly, because these people all remember, the same signs. They all had the same tents.
They were ready to go the day after the attack on Israel. They had all their signs. They had all the uniforms were all set to go. So don't tell me this wasn't pre-planned.
The message is America is evil, Israel is evil, Jews are evil, Trump is evil. That's the message. Republicans are evil, and it's about subverting this country. It's funny. The report named all these politicians that were involved with agents of this foundation. One of the central figures I focused on was this guy whose last name is Imam Elahi. He runs this mosque in Dearborn, Michigan, which is, the Wall Street Journal famously called Dearborn the jihad capital of America. And he used to be a member of the Iranian Navy's political intelligence unit. And according to a U.S. Institute of Peace report, he came to the United States originally to supervise and inspect units of Hezbollah, a terrorist organization, in the United States. And somehow that's all okay, and he runs this mosque in Dearborn, which has a school, and he partners with all the local government out there, and you can see photos of him with John Kerry, with Kamala Harris, with Gretchen Whitmer, with Gary Peters, the senator out there, and it's just the level of sort of mingling he has with Democratic Party elite is shocking. And I will add, many politicians were named in the report, and they were all Democrats. And I'm not making a partisan point. It's just there were no Republicans named in the report. It was exclusively Democrats that associated with this man. And I think they big picture view the Democratic Party as a much more suitable agent of their interests, and that you're not it's President Trump who's had 2, maybe 3 possible assassination attempts against him. Even though you hear it's only the violent rhetoric that he's allegedly saying. All the violence seems to be directed toward him.
Exactly.
And it's very clear that the Iranians would much prefer him not to return to the White House because, as I believe you said on your program a moment ago, Iran was broke. It was busted. He pulled us out of the Iran deal. He was uniting the Arab world, the Sunni Arab world, against Iran. And you had things like the Abraham Accords.
John Catsimatidis, it's easier to con the Democrats. It's easier to make a deal and put blindfolders on Joe Biden, and it's easier to put blindfolders on Kamala Harris. That's why the Iranians want the Democratic ticket.
Yeah, I mean, I think from an Iranian perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Obama, Biden did the Iran deal. President Obama was committed to bringing in Iran from the cold and doing kind of a rapprochement, kind of Nixon in China, but like an Obama in Tehran. And President Biden was a part of that as the vice president at the time. The Iran deal was part of President Biden's legacy. So, he was opposed when President Trump took us out of it. He has been actively looking for ways for us to get back in bed with Iran. And obviously October 7th has sort of frozen that again. But it's a much better deal for Iran to continue to be on the Democratic ticket because they're the ones who are interested in becoming friends with Iran again and giving them money and taking off the sanctions and providing them political cover.
Iran can get anything they want from the Democratic Party. Then they use that money. They use that money to fund the terrorist groups. I mean, I can't understand why the people that want to vote for Harris don't understand that.
Yeah, and a lot of these things, as John, you're pointing out, these organizations right under our noses. It's really frightening. John, thank you so much. Really great to have you here, John.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Really blockbuster column, everybody. Take a look at it in the New York Post.